contradictory figures of the budget. Welcome to NBS. And my name is Kanere Mugume, alongside Jagwe Michael on Sign Language. Expect that story and so much more. But first, top stories tonight.
The headlines brought to you by.
Now available in the new look on the Radiant Hair Relaxer with herbal extracts and no base formula. Radiant. Look good. Feel great.
In the headlines tonight.
So finance is providing. So
Defense team thrown out of parliamentary committee for producing two contradicting figures for their budget.
8,916.6 billion.
we are dealing with a fundamental issue.
Select committee orders Namuganza to report on Monday or face the consequences of her alleged misconduct.
We therefore pray that the committee finds Honorable Francis Namuganza guilty.
President Museveni, concerned about the completion rate for UPE, warns head teachers against charging fees.
We don't have equipment for maternity site.
The grappling service delivery in Lira Palwo in Agago district. Leaders call for the intervention of the Prime Minister.
My worry is we are left with only 3 weeks to be to school to start kick off.
The headlines brought to you by.
Now available in the new look on the Radiant Hair Relaxer with herbal extracts and no base formula. Radiant. Look good. Feel great.
Welcome to this edition of NBS Live at 9. My name is Kanere Mugume alongside Jagwe Michael on Sign Language. Top story tonight. Officials from the Ministry of Defense and Veteran Affairs have for the second time been chased from the Defense and Internal Affairs Committee of Parliament for presenting contradicting figures in the budget framework paper for the financial year 2023-2024. According to the legislators, there were two indicative figures in the budget, one of 8.796 trillion shillings and another of 7.916 trillion shillings.
Officials from the Ministry of Defense have been chased from the Defense and Internal Affairs Committee of Parliament for presenting two indicative figures in the budget, one of 8.796 trillion shillings and another of 7.916 trillion shillings.
Implementing the financial year 2023-24 budget strategy.
The Minister for Defence and Veteran Affairs, Vincent Sempija, first highlighted the key issues in the budget framework paper for the ministry in the next financial year, as they intend to focus on procuring defence machinery that will protect the country both in air and on land.
The ministry will continue pursuing the defence transformation program of modernising and professionalising the UPDF.
According to the minister, the ministry plans to maintain and renovate infrastructure in a number of barracks countrywide, in addition to recruiting more junior officers in the army.
Complete the construction of the military hospital, the National Military Hospital, I think. And 3, complete the construction of ground-based air defence strategic infrastructure.
The ministry is also seeking 167 billion shillings for retiring 1,200 soldiers from the UPDF.
We are seeing a figure.
The controversy, however, arose after the presentation of the budget framework paper, when the committee members questioned the 15 billion shillings that had been put in the budget without any activity.
This is jumping in trillions, and these are not small figures. For us to jump on 15 billion variance, it is fundamental that I requested that can we work together?
I'm at a loss if we start fidgeting by adding figures here in this room.
Getting the figure and the items that are funded with that 15 billion, which we have not put here.
The issue of variations in the figures in the indicative budget framework paper for the ministry generated a serious debate in the committee.
Funded and underfunded. The total budget of Ministry of Defense required, including funded, is 8.9 trillion.
But suddenly it balloons 8.9 trillion.
And the question is, let alone the 15. This 15 is very easy to deal with, even here. But the 100 plus billion, which is not costed here.
They are going to be to start collecting things as we are here, moving back and forth. The ministry should stand firm and declare that it is not ready.
If we are to proceed well, that the ministry goes back, reconciles those figures.
I'm going to give the minister 2 hours with his team to go and reconcile these figures and come back at 2.
In the army, when you subdue your enemy, you don't allow them opportunity to go and reorganize and come back. They will finish you. You just, from there, they should surrender. There and then. So,
Isabella Tugume, Sam Ibanda Mugabe, NBS Live at 9.
The Select Committee on Persis Namganza has given her up to Monday to appear in person, else they will continue without her submission. This followed the appearance of her lawyer before the committee in Parliament, who declined to submit on matters, insisting that it would amount to sub judice.
So, Justice Harrod is Justice Barrett.
Council.
That is my submission.
Mpande Norman is the lawyer who represented Minister Persis Namganza in the Select Committee led by Mwine Mpaka to defend the minister of accusations of misconduct and misbehavior.
We have made it clear that there are matters in court. As to whether the matters are concerning this issue, that's a decision to be made by the Speaker.
While submitting, the lawyer informed the committee that the minister had served the Speaker, the Attorney General and the Deputy Speaker, informing them of the matter that would amount to sub judice before the courts of law.
We are still waiting for a response, and then we shall be engaging in further deliberations on this matter. With that, Mr. Chairman, I beg to be discharged.
Legislators questioned the lawyer what proved that he is accorded with instructions to represent the minister. These were treated to shock as the lawyer failed to present his written instructions, urging that he was called on a short notice. The MPs tasked him to call the minister, but she failed to pick.
The Honourable Minister can actually say she did not send a representative because we do not have written instructions.
Mr. Chairman, I beg to submit the instructions from my clients in writing at a date not being today. I have moved out, order she has not picked.
I thought
As for now, I leave it to the committee to decide what to do on this matter. Because I am being put on the wall, I am trying to explain. I am telling you.
I cannot tell a lie, so we should take us angels.
I request for time to submit written instructions to this committee. That is all I can say now.
Chair, order. Like I said, it is getting repulsive, temperamental, and this is not why we are here.
The lawyer repeatedly told the committee that discussing the matter that is before court is sub judice until the Speaker and the Attorney General respond to the matters before court. The committee asked Mpande whether, if they are accorded more time, they will respond, a matter he said is only a decision of the accused.
Does this mean that even if we add you more time, you will not come because it is still sub judice and you are waiting for the courts to pronounce themselves?
As to whether to continue with the engagements after today is not my decision to take. Now, on the basis of that response, the client now forms an opinion on whether to appear or otherwise. But for now, I would be acting outside instructions.
When the committee told the lawyer to take with himself evidence to the accused, he declined, urging that it's not one of the instructions he received. This left the legislators puzzled.
We need to give you all the evidence we collected yesterday so that you help us and transmit it to your client.
Mr. Chairman, I can't take it now. It would be prejudicial. I need to know what I'm receiving. It's not a matter of receiving things. It's not a matter of receiving things. No, I can't receive it now.
You can't read.
I can't receive it now. I needed to sit and scrutinize and see that what I'm receiving corresponds to what they are taking back.
Meanwhile, The petitioners presented more evidence to pin Namuganza of misconduct and misbehavior, pleading with the committee to find the minister, Persis Namuganza, guilty of the charges. MPs wondered whether there is no other befitting punishment to accord the minister if found guilty.
Reason that can make you seek to withdraw your petition and motion.
Thank you. In our view and opinion, the least befitting of all punishments is censure.
The committee has accorded Namuganza up to Monday to come and defend herself, with the committee tasking the petitioners to provide certified evidence from all the platforms where they acquired the videos.
Nice weekend. Not available.
On Monday, we are going to invite your client on Monday. I'm sure you have heard.
Shamim Navakoza, NBS, live at 9.
While the select committee, like you just saw right there, that is investigating Minister Persis Namuganza, was meeting today at Parliament, Persis Namuganza herself was in her constituency, where she thanked members of Parliament who have stood with her amidst the storm of censure. Namuganza was speaking in Bokono in Namutumba district during a fundraising drive where President Yoweri Museveni contributed 50 million shillings towards the construction of Ivukula Archdeaconry.
Bakobye tuli kujja nakobye His Grace ali kushale wange bakobye tulina okujja tusabe Archbishop batubone ni Persis Namuganza batute mu black book yebenda kasita mu maiso ga Katonda tunaba tuli mu white book. Andi ba honorables nendo basuubiza nti we muli gwe ndikola ki kubanga omuntu akulinya mu musaayi musazeewo bali batudde obukiiko bwabwe buli eyo bwogera bye bayagala. For you, you have decided to be here with me. I promise that I will also be with you.
Now, legislators sitting on the Public Accounts Committee have tasked the Uganda Police Force to explain why they have been paying salaries to 380 staff who retired from the force. But the Undersecretary of the Uganda Police Force, Aggrey Wunyi, said the 1.7 billion shillings paid to the retired staff as salaries was an error caused by different dates of birth, but has since been rectified and the money has been retrieved from the said officers.
Officials from Uganda Police Force, led by the Deputy Inspector General of Police, Major General Godfrey Kasigazi, and the Undersecretary, Aggrey Wunyi, spent part of Friday before the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament, explaining queries raised in the Auditor General's report for the financial year 2020-2021.
Look at page 20 of the Auditor General's report.
The first query was to explain why Uganda Police Force used 1.7 billion shillings to pay salaries to 380 staff who had retired from police.
Audit testing revealed that 380 staff continued to receive salaries amounting to 1.7 billion after their retirement date.
Those staff were transitioning from being salary earners to pensioners. The 380. So when we computed their pension, we deducted the months they had earned salary. And I was saying the error arose from having or not having proper dates of birth.
It is not automated. The police is not automated. It means there is a possibility that people got pension and salary at the same time.
The reconciliation is that part of wage, the 3 billion you saw at the beginning, was that money.
The one which was returned to consolidated fund?
Yes.
According to the Undersecretary, Aggrey Wunyi, the force is engaging the Ministry of Finance to provide funds for the CCTV cameras.
Now, when it comes to maintenance, the operational budget is really big. We have been engaging Minister of Finance, and just in this current financial year is when we have received the first support towards maintenance of 26 billion.
Wunyi also noted that the Crime Records Information Management System has already been developed and is only awaiting the deployment of computers to all police stations across the country to become operational.
We have rolled out a few, and we shall do this one as a multi-year intervention, so that all the police units eventually have the computers and records can be automated.
In order to implement the amended Traffic and Road Safety Act 2020 that provides for the payment of express penalty tickets within 72 hours instead of 28 days, Uganda Police Force, together with the Ministry of Works, is working on regulations to operationalize this section of the Act. Meanwhile, the Deputy Inspector General of Police, Major General Godfrey Kasigazi, has disclosed that they have started reviewing deployment plans in which they will assess whether some individuals still need police guards or not.
What is the criteria? Why don't you advise these people want security to go to private security firms instead of going to police to deprive them of the staff which would be doing work for both the poor and the semi-rich people?
One, sometimes this comes as a directive to police.
Mildred Tohaise, Sam Ivandamgabi, NBS, Live at 9.
President Yoweri Museveni has directed head teachers of universal primary and secondary education schools to stop charging fees from learners, saying that the act sabotages government's plan of promoting human resource development needed for implementing the socio-economic transformation agenda in the country. President Yoweri Museveni was addressing over 500 secondary school teachers from central Buganda, as well as regional and district coordinators of patriotism clubs who are attending a 10-day patriotism and ideological training at the National Leadership Institute, NALI, in Chankwanzi.
While addressing over 500 head teachers at the National Leadership Institute, NALI, in Chankwanzi, President Yoweri Museveni asked them to stop charging school fees for learners under the universal primary and secondary schools. He stressed that society can change through correct education and that relevant education will cause transformation in society, and that charging learners can only frustrate the process.
From 1996, even when our economy was still very small, we said, abana bonna basomere bwerere, ababana ku UPE. Aye, imwe headmaster, ekigambo ekyo tumukikwata bulungi. Mutekamu obusente sente, leeta za kyemisana, leeta obusente sente. Stop these children from I'm talking about the government schools, not the private ones. Private schools will twagaleka abagagga abasobola abana mu batwala eyo masomero gamu g'abagagga. Aye agaife abana
The president further advised that teachers can sensitize parents to organize packed lunch for their children and remove the money issue from the universal education. President Museveni earlier took the teachers through the principles that led to the attainment of prosperity, pointing out that for socio-economic transformation to be achieved, a new mindset has to be inculcated in society to create a new person that will move away from subsistence to commercial calculated agriculture.
You must have a new society. You cannot have a peasant producing another peasant. Omukorera kida kyonka n'alamira omukorera kida omulala. Omukorera kida kyonka omulala. Socio-economic transformation. Fetwalabayo amakubo abiri. Ekubo erimu education. That's where you people come in.
The Minister of Education and Sports, also First Lady Janet Kataha Museveni, implored the head teachers to become visionaries with a clear purpose to act as role models for their teachers as well as the students.
But some of our head teachers that I know and you know instead take what has been entrusted to them for their schools, for their children, and take it and use it for personal benefit.
The commandant of NALI, Brigadier General Charles Magambo said the institute is diversifying its activities that include, among others, engaging in commercial agriculture. Victoria Vagaya, NBS, Live at 9.
Women judges are concerned over the continued hardships by women and girls to access justice due to high court fees, distance and court language, especially for those in the countryside. Lady Justice Elizabeth Alividiza Jen, the president of the International Association of Women Judges in Uganda chapter, is now calling for the appointment of more women in management positions to ensure fair gender representation.
Women judges bring different perspectives and experiences, enhancing trust in the judiciary as capable of upholding the rule of law and human rights while reflecting the society it represents. Despite this, the number of women judges in Uganda remains low compared to the challenges women face in trying to access justice. According to the president of the Women Judges Uganda chapter, Elizabeth Alividiza Jen, it's time for Uganda to have more women in senior legal positions.
Like when you go to a high court division, you should balance. You find, okay, the head today is this is a male, maybe next time it will be a female. Like that. So it's not so one-sided, you know? If you look at all the heads of divisions, we might have only one head who is a woman.
These believe that women will create a more equitable criminal justice system. Women judges say that to date, women and girls can hardly access justice due to a number of challenges like high legal fees.
If you have money, court is the last priority. You need money for the child is sick. You need school fees. I don't know, you need what. By the time you think of going to court, you say, and the processes take too long. You file your case today, it can take like 5 years.
The executive director of Uganda Women's Network, Rita Achiro, urges justices to mentor young lawyers, including those on the bench.
How do we get younger people to take up leadership in the judiciary, particularly women? The other is also going out there for career guidance.
This, as the International Association of Women Judges Uganda chapter, in partnership with WANET, launched the think tank for transformative feminist leadership. Lady Justice Henrietta Wolayo handed over office to Justice Elizabeth Alividiza Jen as the incoming association president. Hakim Wampamba, Alan Mwesigwa, NBS, Live at 9.
Agago district remains crippled over 2,000 residents of Lira Paluo getting treatment from a healthcare center too. School children attending classes under the trees and a blown roof and impassable road network. Acholi Parliamentary Group now wants the office of the Prime Minister to be held accountable. Benson Ongom has a report.
Lira Paluo, a sub-county with over 2,000 residents in Agago district, has been exposed by the government decentralization system as it operates on a health center too, with 2 staff and no medicine. Here, what welcomes you at the facility is the consultation table with a visitor's book, a temperature gun and 2 empty boxes of Panadol. Away from this health center, one has to travel close to 20 kilometers for the next one, with residents concerned about the state of the health unit.
The midwife we have is not doing the role that she has been sent for. Reason that we don't have equipment for maternity site.
In many cases, when they bring the drugs like this week, after 2 weeks, you start hearing cases of drugs is not there at the health facilities.
Just 500 meters away is the only primary school in the sub-county. Lawimonopachiak Primary School has a total of 600 pupils, but since 2021, the classroom block was blown off, leaving pupils stranded, as the teacher explains.
As 2023, we are still waiting for any possible way that may happen as far as the government can really help us.
At the school, even where the pupils are meant to see themselves, the roof was blown off from this already filled-up toilet. It is getting close to start of first term, and no one knows what will happen when pupils return.
We're now appealing to any organization, to any willing body that can support learning in Wimono-Pechiak Primary School, because my worry is we are left with only 3 weeks to school to kick off.
There was a request sent from the Minister of Education to submit all the schools which has problem of this nature to them. So as a district, we were confident that now that they have requested themselves, they are going to support us.
A Acholi parliamentary group visited the sub-county and found these shocking revelations.
Children are studying under the trees and nothing has been done. The sub-county has only one health center too, and it is actually serving about 4 sub-counties in this particular place. It is unacceptable.
Our roads are too bad, both the central government road, both the local government roads, the district roads, and the sub-county roads. They are in sorrow state.
The Lirapaluo sub-county doesn't have sub-county headquarter buildings. And this is a risk to the government, because government needs to operate from a point where information can be kept, because this information serves the people, serves the community. So we need the sub-county headquarters with buildings, with offices.
The Minister for Economic Monitoring and Planning, an area woman member of parliament, Beatrice Akori, says they have written to government over these social service lapses, but the responses has been slow, asking the office of the Prime Minister to act immediately.
We have requested iron seat from OPM, and we are waiting for them to release the iron seat so that this classroom is roofed back. On the issues of health center too, that is the standard of the health center too, but unfortunately due to creation of a new administrative unit, actually not even one, they created 2 new administrative units from Lirapaluo sub-county. That is Agayon sub-county and Lirapaluo town council. That's why Lirapaluo sub-county, we don't have health center 3.
Agago, which is crippled by social service delivery, is also faced with Karamojong cattle raids, leaving many wondering what became of government multiple promises. Benson Ongom, NBS, Live at 9.
Thanks, Benson Ngom, for that report. And now we take a look at your feedback on our opinion question. And tonight we're asking what, in your view, explains the low completion rate in UP East schools. Hashtag NBS Live at 9 at NBS TV on Twitter and NBS Television on Facebook. Dixon Tournau on Twitter says 32% completion rate according to UBOS is alarming. I attribute this to the following: 1, poverty, which makes it hard for parents to afford scholastic materials, and then 2, gender-based violence that leads to early marriages, and 3, outdated curriculum that demotivates learners to go to school. More comments. Chiza Bernard says much of the sectoral effort is directed to private schools. Most of proprietors of the private schools are in government and they prep students for good grades. Public is wanting education programs and curriculums come up but complementary to certain necessities. UP is all do the same end of cycle exam, hence imbalance. All right, keep your comments coming through. Hashtag NBS Live at 9. We now take a break. We return with more stories headlining today.
More to come, brought to you by Make Your Building a Paradise. We have weather coat emulsion, undercoat emulsion, silk vinyl emulsion, flat emulsion, super gloss and high gloss. Global Pen